from embracing, a time to search and a time to give up, a time to keep and a time to throw away, a time to tear and a time to mend, a time to be silent and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. Ecclesiastes 3, 1-8. Part 1, A Time to Learn. Chapter 1, Failure to Launch. I was a normal kid as far as I knew. I didn't feel any different from the other kids in my first grade class. I rode the bus just like everybody else, traded baseball cards during recess, and never let my mom send me to school with a sack lunch on pizza day. Despite the striking similarities between my classmates and me, one simple fact set us apart. I had yet to learn my ABCs. In case you accidentally glossed over the first paragraph, I was in the first grade. I wasn't 3 or 4. I was 7.5 years old. Yet here I was, struggling to read basic sentences. The first grade teachers at my elementary school split their classes into 4 different reading groups. At first, I didn't think anything of it. There were just different teams with cool bird mascots. There were the Eagles, the Falcons, the Blue Jays, and of course, the mighty Penguins, the group I was a proud member of. I was the only Penguin in Miss Redding's class, although there were definitely a few others scattered throughout the first grade. I'm not sure exactly how she decided who was going to go into what group, but I do know that when it was time to read, the Penguins were ushered out of our individual classrooms and into the gym. And just so you're getting the full picture here, it was a great big gymnasium holding about 15 kids, some of whom had been diagnosed with actual learning disabilities, and me. I knew it wasn't normal, that I couldn't read yet, but it had never occurred to me that it was something to be embarrassed about. It's possible that the other kids in my class made fun of me as soon as I skipped off to the gym, but if they did, I never knew it. In fact, the thought of that ever happening never even crossed my mind. My positive outlook has blinded me to plenty of things over the years. Maybe it has even protected me at times from things I didn't need to see. Have you ever heard the phrase, looking at the world through rose-colored glasses? Well, if there was ever a poster child for this, it would have been me. And even now, I am just fine seeing the world through those lenses. This typically leads me to see the best in people rather than the worst. I've always had the ability to play things out to the positive. Here's how that mindset played out back in the first grade. Kids can be cruel. So looking back, there's a decent chance that at least one of the kids in my class was calling me names while I was off learning to recite my ABCs. But rather than think about that possibility, I was excited that I was invited to the gym in the first place. Honored even. Look, any chance to go to the gymnasium was a win in my book. I loved getting to see the other Penguins. We really only got good time together on Thursday afternoons from 1 until 2:45. I'd walk in there and be like, "What? Where have you guys been? Wait, do you guys get to hang out in the gym all week? How did you score that? Luckies?" Looking back, I'm not sure if the act of labeling our group as Penguins was random or not, but the symbolism isn't lost on me. All the other bird species in my first grade reading class could fly, except the penguins. Penguins are flightless birds. But that doesn't mean that they're less than. They're actually incredible birds. They do exactly what they were made to do. So while I was happy as a lark to be a penguin, I sure hope my gym mates never let that label define them. I hope that they realize that despite the fact that penguins can't fly, they can do something those other birds can't do. Penguins can swim. Some of the greatest success stories of all time came from people who were misunderstood or even miscategorized. Maybe their strengths weren't noticed or valued. Perhaps they got a slow start or went about things in an unusual manner. They somehow didn't fit into the world's narrow definition of what constitutes achievement or success. Here are just a few of them. Famous failures. Penguin edition. Walt Disney. He was told that he didn't have enough imagination and therefore was fired from his newspaper job at the Kansas City Star. Can you believe that? Walt freaking Disney. Albert Einstein, the person who allegedly didn't speak until he was 4 years old and didn't read until he was 7. Sound familiar?